CJ Peterson, and welcome to The Journey is Real. We talk to real people with real passions who share a real portion of their hearts. Today, my guest is Faust Ruggiero, and we'll be talking transforming from the inside out. Thank you for coming on today, Faust.
CJ, thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Your passion is helping to guide others through the internal transformations. How do you achieve this? Because that's kind of a monumental task.
You know, when it comes to helping people, the first thing you really want to do is be able to be a good listener. That's really what starts the whole process. If people are understand and they look at you and they say, "What? He's really engaged. He's locked into me," then they're going to start opening up. And then I go from there. Then we start establishing the kinds of things that they want to change. Some of the things that maybe aren't working so well, some of the weaknesses, what have you. And the goal is to make someone internally as strong as they can be, which then, of course, leads to a passion for living and a passion for growth, which just keeps on going.
So you take your passion and you're uniting other people to have the same type of passion for life.
That's really what it comes down to. It's really that last those last few words, a passion for life. People arrange their life in destination points. I mean, I like this. I can't wait for that. But I just think every moment of your life should be something you get up and you're passionate about living. And if that thing that you're passionate about is you and how you are growing, boy, it just leads to everything that you can imagine.
Now, how did this become a passion for you? Kind of take us back. Because on the journey as well, we like to know the backstory. We like to know the journey.
Yeah.
What brought you to this point? And you can go back as far as you need to. One guy goes, "Well, I could go back to 3 years old." I said, "Don't do that. Just go back to where you need to, and then bring us forward."
Yeah. You know, for me, it's the right way to do this. Where did I come from? I was the kid who in school would listen to everyone. I just thought people were fascinating.
Mhm.
So
I'm a people watcher too. I get it.
yeah, I love to, I still love people to this day. And I love to watch what they were doing and listen to them. And that listen kind of translated into being the guy that people knew would listen and would come and talk to. So, I was doing this probably in junior high school and in high school. And it just became, something I looked forward to. When someone came to me, I didn't look and say, "Okay, here they come again." I said, "Oh, great. Here's someone that really, really wants to get into this." And it became a passion that far back. So, of course, now I'm through high school and I go into college and I started to study. And obviously it was going to be psychology, so I went into clinical and developmental psychology. So you have the best of both worlds, the so-called abnormal and normal worlds, and into research. So I knew how to read what was going on and how to conduct that research. And then I went into I thought in my mind, "Gee, how about setting up a real varied kind of first 5 or 10 years?" So it was deaf clinics, it was substance abuse people, it was marriage clinics, it was a prison that I counseled in, and then finally went into private practice 31 years ago, and have been doing that ever since. So I have a whole lot to draw on because I've set it up that way, and through that time, I was able to really get into the practice and start to develop my technique, which I doesn't always happen with counselors. But I tend to borrow so many things. I wanted mine, so that's where I put together what I call the process way of life. So, and that's where people can really start to define themselves and find those passions.
Right. And I was a counselor for a while, and it's like you study all these different counseling techniques and counselors and psychologists from long ago. And it's like you have to develop who you are yourself, because just as each person you're talking to is an individual in and of themselves with individual experiences that are completely autonomous from anybody else, you have to come at it in your own. Like for me, people are puzzles. And so I need to figure out what makes them tick, which is the framework. And then what's inside of there, we kind of put their puzzle pieces together. And sometimes there are puzzle pieces that are missing. And so, kind of work with them to find out what those puzzle pieces are to make them like a whole picture and let them see themselves through that picture. So what does the process look like for you?
The first thing I start with is just what you said. Every person is an individual. And it's not just that it's an individual puzzle. It's a whole new person for me to love working with and really to love as a person. I think that's missing with a lot of people who do this work. When someone comes into my office, they know I love them. I really want to work with them. So
It's
I
kind of
start.
like the theory you always go by. I was also a youth leader for 18 years. They don't know they don't care what you know until they know that you care.
That's right. So they know that, and I make that very clear. And coming to counsel with me is not one of these things of drudgery. Okay, what's he going to ask me this week? And I want to have fun in there. And I've always said, I'm in that room with you, and I do this sometimes 10, 11, 12 hours a day. The last thing I want to do is walk out and say, oh my God, I don't know if I can go back tomorrow. I want to really have a good time helping you learn how to have a good time with your life. So
Yeah,
I
and
start.
when they reach those light bulb moments, that's like exciting for a person to help somebody achieve that light bulb moment.
It really is. So, I start there, and then, and then it's, where do we start in the program? And there I say, let's just slow down. Let's slow your life down a little bit so you can understand that we have some work to do. And then we're going to start getting your life off autopilot, because there is absolutely no passion in autopilot. Autopilot's robotry. It's everyday routine that you put in that doesn't challenge you and doesn't have you hitting any high points or any changes, no growth. So I
Yeah,
want to get life off all the way you've been keeping it. And let's start to define, because I'm not one that says we're going to find who you are. I think that's rubbish. We're going to create who you are. That's what it is.
yeah. I mean,
And
a lot.
when you can do that, when you can create who you are, now you become passionate, because it's not only your journey you're passionate about, it's the whole new person you get to create. And you're creating that person the way you want to be created.
Mhm. I mean, a lot of times, especially lately in the last year with COVID hitting and everything, everybody's moved and shifted into survival mode. Those who know who they are and their purpose and their passion and their desires and everything, they tend to rise above the surface, whereas the other ones are just basically treading water, and you can only do that for so long.
And that's what I've told people. Strong people go into difficult situations with a mindset that says, I am going to attack this. I
Mhm.
know what I have inside me, and I'm going to bring that to this new situation. So I get that all the time. Well, how did you go through the virus? I said, well, I didn't change anything.
Mhm.
I mean, okay, I can't go out to a restaurant or a concert or a movie. Friends and that whole thing had to be distanced. Outside, that's the only thing that changed, and that's all outside of me. And that's where the people have the problem. Oh my God, I got to stay in the house and face me. Now they had to slow down. Now the anxiety and the demons start, here we go. And where this could be a time where you say, gee, this is a whole horrible thing where I can sit back, take my world apart, because nothing else is happening in the world, and I can start to put things back together the way I want them. But it takes a strong person to realize the advantage in this whole situation. It's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of context and what you're willing to look at. Again, if you're strong and that journey is something you really want to develop, the virus was one bump on your timeline. It started, it's going to have an ending spot. And in that point, that's where you get to redefine and start moving forward for growth. So to me, there isn't find a new normal. It's create the new normal. It's create the new person. And this was an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I mean, instead of looking and saying what you can't do, I can't meet with my friends, I can't go to a restaurant, I can't go to movies, I can't do this. Find what you can do. You're transforming your way of thinking.
And it's not just about those things you can do, it's what your mind can do. That's really, once your mind says, I can take anything apart and make it work for me, it may not be exactly what I thought I wanted, but it may just turn into what I know I want. But
And what
that's up
you
to
needed.
me. Exactly, that's what I want. It's up to me to create it and go. And that's in anything you do. I don't care if it's your job, your relationship, what you do at home, whatever it may be. It comes down to what you want to create, because you have the power to do that. I always say that, God didn't put us on the earth and say you're empty and there's nothing. There's a whole lot of stuff in here,
Mhm.
but we're so busy trying to go out there and find it where it doesn't exist.
Mhm.
It exists in here. So my whole program, the whole context of the program is to go inside, get what's already inside there, learn how to define it, make it work for you, maximize it, and be passionate about it. That's
Exactly.
in a
I love that.
nutshell. That's it.
I mean, most people know inherently what they need to do, but a lot of times they keep themselves so busy because they want to avoid the stuff that they don't want to touch. And so when they're slowed down enough, like because of the COVID, they have to face this stuff. They have to work through this stuff. They have to figure stuff out. And some people said that this was like the worst time ever. I mean, I made a joke out of it. I said it was like different levels of Jumanji. I mean, in Texas, when we hit February and got that snow and ice storm, I said, okay, now we've flipped to Oregon Trail. Let's see how we can survive this. And so it's like, it's a mindset and it's a mind shift and it's a mind change. And so when they slow down and they meet with you, you kind of have the time to sit there and go through it all and sort through it all and help guide them. You don't tell them what to do. They already know what to do. They just need to sort it out and find it.
I never tell them what to do, and I never try to solve a problem for them. Otherwise, I'm the guy that they're going to call every time something comes up. And I always say I'm in business with you to be out of business with you. So what I want you to be able to do is to grab whatever comes up in your life and then go get it. That requires going inside. And one of the first things you have to do is be honest with yourself. Okay, I'm not so good at this, and maybe this isn't so good. And go in there and be willing to get that stuff. And people are all concerned. Well, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to find all these horrible things about myself. Yes, you are, and you're going to find all the beauty in there too, because it's all locked up. Because you're choosing not to work with it. You're choosing to go out of yourself every day and live with what's outside there. This friend, that Facebook quote, this news report, all these these silly things that don't have anything to do with who you are. So once you start working with the program and you start slowing down and getting the facts and working with them, then it leads you into all the processes which get you where you want to go. And by the time I have people midway through the program, now they're calling and saying, now the light bulbs are going on and there's a power. I'm loving what I'm doing. I thought I was going to hate this and was going to get worse and worse. It's getting better and better, and I'm dealing better with people. I'm feeling good every day. And then I always say that now you use the P word. Now you're passionate. Now you're in there and you're saying, I love this. Give me more. It's like working out. You hate it when you're 2 push-ups and you're ready to fall down. And then you start challenging yourself, and there's 20, and now you're doing sit-ups. Now you're bench presses or running or whatever you do, and you're challenging yourself. And you decided to make it more difficult because now you understand you can get there.
Now, when you're unpacking stuff, and that's kind of how I kind of phrase it, is just basically unpacking it all because you've shoved it into a box and taped it closed and hoped that it would go away, and all it does is continue to stack up there. It's kind of like I compare it to the butterfly. When it starts as a caterpillar, it's eating everything. It's busy. It's trying to avoid everything in life. It's just trying to eat it all, and hopefully something will work. And eventually they go into the darkness. When they're working with you, they go in the darkness of the cocoon, which sounds scary, but you have to go through it all. You have to go through that change, and then they have to fight their way out, and then they can finally fly free with the passion of life.
And that's what it's all about. That little cocoon, but as I tell them, has me in it with you. That's what you need to understand. And then we're going to get to that point where you can expand your wings and you don't need me anymore. Then you may call and say, well, what do you think about this little piece? And I'm not going to give you an answer, of course. I'm going to say, well, let's talk about that. And then you'll tell me what you think. So it gets that way. But the first part of it is a guided trip. I'm the guy along the way. And then you're going to get to the point where you say, thank you, I'll take the wheel now. And I got this. And yeah, I get a flat tire here and there, and then the bus breaks down, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, because guess what? It's all going to happen. And even if I get you to the point where you say, well, I love my life, we don't know when that person dies. That happens over there. The finances go, whatever. That's life. It keeps on happening. It's a dynamic process. It'd be great if it were static and stayed right where you wanted it to stay all the time, but that's never going to happen. So let's prepare for the next one.
Yeah, and essentially, you don't want it to stay stagnant.
No,
I mean,
then you're dead.
Life. That's
dead.
Yeah.
You're at that point where there's no growth, and that's why I take them off autopilot, because the human mind likes to get comfortable. And that autopilot is what it automatically goes to. And that's why it's hard to pull it off. So I say, keep pulling it off autopilot. Throw some little changes in your life,
Mhm.
even if there's small changes, little things that make you say, well, I didn't do it the same way today. And maybe tomorrow I'm going to do that just a little bit different. Don't have to be monumental, nice and small, but keep the flow changing. That keeps your mind engaged. I always say autopilot is like the airplane. The pilot puts it on autopilot. He's not flying anymore. He's not engaged. He doesn't even know what the plane's doing. It's on autopilot. Then he re-engages. Otherwise, we're not coming down. The plan doesn't land itself. So you re-engage. So your mind will automatically go there. Take it off. Experience something new. Don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of some little risks here and there. Instead of experiencing them, program them in. That's part of the creative process. Program your change and your risks in so you have control over what's going on.
Yeah, you're teaching to be proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly.
Mhm. And the other thing to think about is, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you stay on autopilot and you don't touch any of your emotions, eventually you're going to lose them. And if you end up hitting something that triggers those emotions, they're going to explode like Pandora's box and you won't know which direction to head.
And when they hit, you're almost always blindsided because part of being off autopilot, part of being engaged, has you seen things come at you. You can say, okay, this is already starting to happen. So now I can really be proactive. Now I can really set up my plan because I see it coming. Autopilot not only doesn't allow you to see it, you don't want to. That's why you're there. So you don't have to deal with anything. Then the crushing blow comes, or at least you perceive it that way, and now you don't know what to do, and anxiety starts and depression starts, and then here comes the medication or the alcohol or whatever it is you do to numb yourself.
Yeah. And it's a side effect. And
It's,
so you don't want to do that. You're hurting yourself even worse. So I've been on your website. You have a myriad of tools on there. Can you explain what all is on there when somebody goes to find it and how to find you?
I set the website up uh, partly to explain myself, so as people will understand where I'm coming from. But most of that website is set up directly to present the book. So it's got excerpts from the book. It has all chapter outlines. It has the various things people can start using to get the process going. It gives them a kind of an example, if you will, to look at it and say, do I really like this? Does this work for me? Because I think if we're going to do this, we have to be honest and transparent. So here it is. Here it is, everyone. Go find it. You'll see what people are saying about the book. You'll see all the little things, that the media appearances, things like we're doing today. There are about 80 or 90 on there. You can see me explaining everything. Go there, find everything that you want. If this sounds like it's good for you, then it might be a program that you're willing to commit to. But do understand, it's a life program. If you think, people will say, when will I finish? When you die.
Yeah, pretty much you don't.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, why would you want to?
Exactly.
Every day you get engaged and your world comes at you and you go at it. That's what this is all about. So be ready for a life plan. Be ready to work something every day of your life. If you're willing to do that, and so that every day of your life is that good, this is a plan for you. If you're looking for the fix me in 10 easy steps, it's not there. And I would hope you never get involved in one of those things.
So how can they find you online? What's your website?
The website is my name, FaustRuggiero.com. That's FaustRuggiero.com. Or they can type in Fix Yourself Handbook. One of the links is going to come up to the website, and you'll find everything you need to right there, including the links for the books. And they're on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all the usual retailers.
Awesome. So we have about 3 or 5 minutes left. Is there anything you'd like to add?
You know, when I do these, I always like to close it by telling people what you should know. But again, everything you need is inside you already. Please stop looking outside of yourself. Stop going to what's trending. Stop trying to fit in. If you're trying to fit in, you already got the message that you're off track. Because why would you need to fit in anywhere? Create what you're going to live in. Everything you need is inside you. Don't ever short sell yourself. Don't say you're not creative. Don't say you can't be passionate. Don't say you can't love. It's all in there. You just have to learn and be willing to go inside and do some of the work and be consistent. If you do all of that, everything happens. Everything will in your world will work out. We can't control what the world throws at you. It's going to continue to do that. That's just life. Things will happen. People will do what they do. Keep in mind that you're changed. Because you change doesn't mean the next person in your life is going to change. So they may stay right where they are. So you're going to learn how to set up boundaries and gatekeep so people aren't affecting you. But everything you need, the way I wrote the book is 36 chapters. So it's 36 different issues. They're 3 to 5 pages long, so you don't have a lot to read. And then at the end of each chapter, I tell you exactly what you need to do to help address that problem. And I wrote it in a way that, not that you have to do it my way, but the 6 or 7 or whatever points are there are points that you can actually tailor for yourself and make it work for your individual program. So if that's what you're looking for, the exact steps are there. All you have to do is plug in, be ready to go, and take control of your life.
Great. Thank you, Faust. I love that you're helping people to find the passion and zest for life. And that, you're not saying you have to be like everybody else, because you're not. When you're born, you're an original. You're not like even a twin. They have different fingerprints. They're not the same person. Don't try to be like somebody else. Be like how you were created to be. And I love that. So thank you for coming on today, Faust, and sharing that with us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you. For those who are looking for more on Faust Ruggiero, you can find him at www.faustRuggiero.com. And thank you for listening to The Journey is Real, where we talk to real people with real passions who share a real portion of their hearts. I'm CJ Peterson of cjpetersonwrites.com. Until next time.